Hello, welcome, and we're so glad that you're here today. This is Dallas Cohen, and this is an episode of the Rebound Coach Live. I'm Dallas Cohen, the Rebound Coach, and I am so glad that you're here today. I just want to thank you for joining us. If you are here on, it's been a long day, y'all. If you're here on Facebook, if you're watching the replay, please feel free to leave a comment. Let me know that you're here. Let me know what you got out of this. If, as you're listening, you hear something and you think of somebody you care about, go ahead and share this episode. We know that it's helped lots of people, and I'm sure it'll help you and the people that you care about as well. And if you're watching here live with me and would like to join the Clubhouse conversation, we do a little bit of after party to chat about the topic at hand. You can go to your Clubhouse app and search up Sanctuary XP, the club, and that's how you can join us there. So, okay, all of that announcement stuff. Again, I'm Dallas Cohen, the Rebound Coach. This is the Rebound Coach Live, and have you ever looked at your life and just been like, this is really hard? Like, you might look at your physical health, there might be some challenges, your family life, there might be some challenges, your marriage or lack of marriage or relationship or lack of relationship, there might be some challenges. You might have some challenges at work, some challenges in your house of worship, whatever it is that's going on. You might have a season where you look around and it's just hard. So what do you do? What do you do? And you might have heard, hey, you can do hard things. You can do hard things. But when it comes down to doing them, how do you execute? How do you get that done? So that's what we're here to talk about today, life hacks of the overcomer. And so if it's your first time sharing virtual space with me, thanks so much again for joining us. If you're over here on Facebook, or if you're hanging out listening to the Clubhouse replays, either way, we're really glad that you're here. Just a little bit about myself. I am a life coach. I'm an author. I'm a speaker. And I serve high-achieving women of faith who live through betrayal, trauma, or abuse, reclaim territory in their relationship with themselves. And so that work started because of my own story. Headline, bottom line, I was married to a man for 10 years who wanted me dead. And he almost had a chance to, he did have a chance, had a chance to try and execute on his plan. But God intervened. And that didn't make sense for a person like me to have that happen in my life. I was raised by two godly parents. They loved God. They loved each other. They were married for a lifetime. They were a great example of a marriage. As a matter of fact, my mom was terminally ill and I watched my dad care for her. So they were a beautiful example of love in marriage. At the same time, I was molested from the time I was 8 to the time I was 16. And so that happens to a lot of young girls, and it radically affects how you see yourself. And I was in a household of faith, so how I related to God was affected, and then how I related to men, or boys rather. So fast forward, when I met the man I married and eventually divorced, there were definitely red flags, definitely reasons why, like, maybe this is not the best idea. By the same token, I'm a woman of faith. I was then, I am now. And I believe that God's answer was yes. And because of that, I believe that whatever came, we would overcome it. We'd outlast it. We would outlive it, all those things. Well, y'all, trouble came right away and never quite left. We got into a cycle of what I call coping and crisis. So it's where you're kind of barely making it. You're not happy. You're just, you found a way to kind of dance around each other, walking on eggshells kind of experience. I would go to work every day. I'd come home, we'd argue, he'd leave the house, I'd cry myself to sleep. and I'd wake up again the next day and do the same thing over and over. It was a very bleak time. I was very hopeless, and we would do that dance, that coping dance, for a while, and then there'd be a crisis. So we'd like, I can stand you, you can stand me, we're standing each other. It's not very happy, but we're surviving. And then there'd be some crisis that would upset everything. And so we'd work back from that crisis and we get back to this coping. So we did that dance for years. And end of 2019, beginning of 2020, everything came to a head. He left for another woman after one of those crises. He left for another woman, and I found out the next day or two. He and that woman were plotting my murder, and had been for months by the time I found out. It's the kind of experience you don't wish on your enemy, and a really scary time. If you're watching a movie, this is where the record scratches, and you're like, what? It was kind of one of those times, and I was threatened as a mom, as a wife, as a woman, as a child of God, and as a coach. Believe it or not, I'd been coaching faith-based relationships and marriage for about 5 or 6 years by then, helping people in difficult marriages stay together. And if you can imagine building your entire identity, your entire platform around one particular idea, and having that be the very thing that's falling apart at your feet. And it's like pregnancy. You're not going to be able to keep the secret for very long, right? Like your community is going to know you're suddenly a single mom, and you spent a few years talking bad about single moms, right? So it was quite a time. Now, through a divine set of experiences, things that only God has arranged, there's no other explanation I could possibly give to you, that I am here with you today, being able to share my story, being able to share anything at all, that I'm still breathing air on this planet is already a miracle. My children and I are safe, and we're growing, unlearning and relearning. And here we are. And so the way I share the story is I could allow the identity that my ex-husband had for me, and quite frankly, the one I had agreed to, and I had allowed him to treat me in a certain way. I had allowed certain kind of behavior to go on in my life. Not that I controlled any of his choices, but I controlled mine. And so I could allow that to continue to tell me who I was, how many days I had left on the planet, how I was allowed to express my femininity, how I was allowed to express my faith, all of it. Or I could choose life. So out of that entire seasons, not just one, but seasons of my life, I wrote a book. The name of the book is I Choose Life: Rewrite Your Love Story and Change Your Legacy. And so we're not just talking about romantic love story, although that's part of it, but how I learned and how you learned to love and how you learned to be loved. Those are the love stories that we can change, and that change everything. It changes everything, because so many decisions that we make are based on our need for love, our need for parental love, our need for familial love, family love, our need for friendship love, our need for nurturing love, our need for romantic love. So we do a lot of searching and a lot of fear-based decisions and a lot of stuff based on that. And what if we could change our own dynamic of how we love and how we receive love? If that got healthy, what would our lives look like? That's what's in this book. It's not just my story. It is my story, but it's not just my story. It is how to change that dynamic for yourself. So the subtitle is Rewrite Your Love Story and Change Your Legacy, because that's what happens when we do it. So you can get this book at reboundcoach.com/book. That is the reboundcoach.com/book. You can get one of these physical copies. I will sign for you and write you a love note. Or you can order from Amazon and they will send you one I did not sign, or you can get an ebook there. So all the information you need for the book, I Choose Life, is at thereboundcoach.com/book. Okay, so today our topic is life hacks for the overcomer. Y'all, I don't know about you. I found myself in a situation over these past week and a half, 2 weeks, where, well, I'll say the situation didn't start recently, but I got wise to the situation recently. You ever look around and you're like, man, this is hard. This is harder than I thought it was. This is harder than I thought it could be. Hey, Eusiphony, good to see you there. Oh, you have, okay. Sorry, I'm just looking at your comments. You can order at thereboundcoach.com/book. So hopefully I'll pop that right back up for you just so you can see it. Thereboundcoach.com/book. So I found myself in a situation where suddenly things were hard. Okay. Suddenly things were hard. And I'll tell you how it got there. It got there because I was realizing that I was slacking. Okay. So you're like, how are these connected? Okay. So I'm a driven kind of person. I tend to serve driven people, driven women. And we have things to do, and we're about our business and whatever that is, right? But even as we're in a grind, even as we're in, like, I got to get up, I got to take care of my family, I got to go to work, I got a side hustle, I got a business, I got a church, I like just doing this volunteer thing over here. Like our schedules are full, and sometimes, we can be just overtired, right? And we attribute that to like, hey, my schedule's so full, I'm just so tired. And because we're so tired, we, indulge in love hungers is what I'll say. So for me, overeating is a love hunger. Not preparing food, right? So buying chips, I'm telling on myself with all the secrets today. Buying chips and popcorn and hummus and eating those things instead of preparing a meal that would be healthier, because it's quick, and because I can get back to the grind and get back to doing whatever I think is important. Okay, thank you for laughing with me, because I'll be all the snacks. So, eating snacks instead of like healthy food. So that's shortcut. Procrastination is a shortcut. Scrolling the interwebs, scrolling Facebook or Instagram or whatever, instead of taking care of our responsibilities. Oversleeping is all of those things. Procrastination in every form. I would have trouble showing up for things on time that I committed to. And I take pride in honoring my commitments and walking in integrity. And, I'm struggling. Oh gosh, struggling to stay awake, struggling. And so I reached out to my mentors. I have several mentors in several different areas. And, I reached out a couple in just one place, and I said, listen, this has been going on for a while. I'm doing, my stuff. I'm showing up to my appointments, but I know it's not the best I can do. Right? Like, I know that I'm slacking off here, and I'd like to do better. And so it really, I was procrastinating on things I didn't want to do. Right. So there was stuff, responsibilities that I just didn't want to take on. I'm like, I don't want to do that part. That's hard. But instead of facing that, I would just procrastinate and be like, I'm so tired because I'm so busy, and that's what's doing it. And that wasn't it. That wasn't it at all. I just was avoiding something I didn't want to do, or a series of things, or something that I felt was hard. So you ever look at all the seasons in your life, you look at the areas of your life, your family life, your work life, your business life, your church life, or your spiritual walk. Like, man, everywhere I look is an uphill climb. Like it all just looks so hard, right? So you've all heard the phrase like, you can do hard things. We can do hard things. And that's absolutely the truth. We can do hard things. The question becomes how? Okay, I know I can do this thing, but how? How do I get the motivation to do these things that I don't want to do? How do I overcome, whatever this big hurdle is in front of me, except there's like hurdles on every side. What do I do? Okay, so if you find yourself avoiding instead of attacking, I was asked, how would you like things to be different? And I responded, I'd like to attack the day. Like I want to get up with like energy and excitement and like, let's get it, let's go, let's take on the day, instead of like, what do I have to do now? I don't know if you ever woke up like that, but I've had that experience where it's just like, oh, what do I got to do now? I just got from one thing to another. Okay, so if you want to attack instead of avoid, listen up. This is for you, okay? And if you're able to take notes, I encourage you to do so. We're going to share some life hacks for the overcomer, okay? And check it out. So you may have heard some of these things before. It's not rocket science. I would say it is simple. These are simple life hacks, but they're not necessarily easy. Okay, simple. So if you think about the life hack videos, the 5-minute craft things, you're like, oh my gosh, no way. But they show you things that are simple. You put this paper clip over here on this thing and ta-da. Okay, so don't look for, as a matter of fact, this is one of the things, because we often look for big, complicated, complex solutions for something that's really simple. And we look for things that are outside of us instead of what's already inside of us, where a lot of the answers already live. So, okay, some life hacks, maybe not new, but important reminders. Number one, and I wish I had said this more cleverly, but perspective shifting. It is so simple. Yes, I read your comments. Sometimes it feels like you're pushing against the wind. For me, I've had to feed my mind about things I have to do. Yes. Simple things like getting out of the bed. Absolutely. Absolutely 100%. You're like, come on, you got to go. See if I remember her name. I don't remember her name right now. If I think about it for a minute, I will. She is a motivational speaker. She wrote a book, and she's blonde, and it will come. I know her name will come because it's popular. Anyway, she has a hack. Okay, this is her hack. She wrote a whole book based on it. It's like the 5-second rule. Pretty sure it's 5-second rule. I hope I'm quoting this lady right. Anyway, Mel Robbins, that's the name. I knew I'd remember it. Anyway, she says when you're laying in bed, you imagine that you're a rocket ship. You're a rocket ship, and you're gonna like jump out of bed on the count, like rockets launch. And she says to count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you're out. I've tried that. It does work. I'm just saying, like, I'm saying, Yousifany, you're a rocket. You're a rocket. Okay. Because sometimes you need to count yourself down. All right. So we're talking about perspective shift, and that is one of them. Like that's a practical example of how you can reactivate yourself. Here's another beautiful thing. Your brain only knows what you tell it. Okay. My mentor said that to me recently. Your brain only knows what you tell it. Another way to say that is, as a man thinks, so are they. As a man or a woman thinketh, so are they. As you continually think, that becomes your experience on the earth. So, beautiful thing about God's word is we can apply it. Okay. So, work on resetting yourself. And we do this all the time. We do this all the time subconsciously. So this is just about paying attention to the process that's already happening. So when, let's say, I tend to serve folks who have come out of abusive marriages or abusive relationships. So looking at that example, many times when a woman is being abused by a man, she doesn't immediately say, hey, this is abuse and I need to do something about it. That's not the normal first logic, right? The first logic is, he's so sorry. He's sorry. He said he was sorry. He bought me flowers and candy. And he looks at me with those eyes and he said he was sorry. And I'm just going to love him. I'm going to be a special helper. And I'm going to love him into being nice to me. We spiritualize it. I'm going to pray him into being nice to me. I'm going to pray him for his deliverance, pray him through. And we're going to fast. And I did all those things. Okay. So that being said, this, and someone from the outside looking in can say, oh man, that's abuse. That's abuse. And she needs to go be safe. Like that could become dangerous. But the woman in the situation can't see it or doesn't see it, right? Why? Why is that? She is coaching herself. She is changing her own perspective. So we can see that in an example that's negative, it's harmful. This is the stuff that helps her survive through all of the crap that she experiences. Okay, that's how she survives. She is talking to herself. As she thinks, so she is, and she's living out what she's creating. We can do the same thing outside of a dangerous situation. How about that? We can do the exact same thing. You can look at that situation as, this is too hard. I can't do it. I give up. You can look at that person that you're having a trouble working with or understanding or whatever it is. You can look at that person and say, like, forget it. I can't work with you, or I can't be with you, or whatever it is. Like, there's no hope here. I'm going to be offended. That's another thing. We scapegoat into offense as a way to not deal with whatever we got to deal with. So I'm going to scapegoat into offense, and I'm mad, and it's them, and I don't have to look at me for anything. Okay. All those things. All right. So perspective coaching for yourself when things are hard, you can tell yourself you can do it, right? You don't have to deny what is. Okay. I'm not asking you to say the sky is purple when it is blue, but you can say the sky's not falling and I'm going to be okay. You can literally just start there. I'm going to be okay. I tell a story about a time where I was really, really struggling emotionally. And the only thing I could think to say was, my God is faithful. He will not fail me. My God is faithful. He will not fail me. My God is faithful. He will not fail me. I was really worried about a situation, and worry, it's like everything else. What you feed will flourish. What you neglect will die. What you feed will flourish. What you neglect will die. So if you're feeding fear, okay, that's all anxiety is like, dressed up fear. So if you're feeding fear, it gets bigger and louder, right? Feeding it. What I was doing in that example, I was feeding faith in God. My God is faithful. He will not fail me. My God is faithful. He will not fail me. My God is faithful. He will not fail me. That's all I could say for like a good 30 minutes. and that was enough to get me out of that slump. And so coaching yourself and speaking to yourself is very, very powerful. We are always speaking to ourselves. Always. It's just a matter of whether or not we're listening and paying attention to what we are saying to ourselves and about ourselves. Okay. So that was hack number 1. Hack number 2, support systems. And I said that with an S, support systems. Okay. So mentors and friends and loved ones and people that you can bounce ideas off of, people you can ask for advice from. Now check it. You don't need advice from everybody. And just because they're family don't mean you need advice from them. Here's how you know. Do they have what you want in a particular area? So I have people that I consider business mentors. So they are people who have the kind of businesses I want and the kind of business success that I want, right? There's other people who are successful, financially successful, that don't have the kind of businesses that I want. For example, Warren Buffett is a very wealthy and successful man, but he does not have the business that I want. Not the same guy. So I'm not, reading up on his advice. Not because it's bad, it's probably great advice, just not for me. Okay? So you find the kind of person that has what it is you want in a particular area. And if Warren Buffett's business advice, it might be something to listen to. His relationship advice, maybe not. Right? I don't know his life, but I'm saying that's an example. Like, you look at, your pastor may have fabulous spiritual advice and spiritual advice that you want to follow. They may not have relationship advice you want to follow. They may not have financial advice that you want to follow. That doesn't make them a bad person or any less than. We all have areas that we're doing well in, and we have areas we're doing not as well in. And it really doesn't matter. Like, that doesn't make them a bad person. So find the people that have what you want and do what they do, right? Whatever, in that area, not in every area. Okay. So I have business mentors, I have spiritual mentors, I have faith walk mentors, and that sounds different. That sounds like it's the same, but it's not. There's people on a spiritual path that I want to learn from, and there's people on a faith path that I learn from. That sounds weird as I'm saying it out loud, but but it's true. There's a particular faith expression that I live in, and there's people who mentor me in that. And spiritually is different. That's long. Okay, I'm not going to explain that anymore because that sounds just weird. It sounds weirder every time I say it. So I'm not going to say it. But anyway, spiritual mentors, business mentors. There's in my professional life, there are mentors there as well. So depending on the situation that I'm looking to overcome is who I reach out to. Okay. Now, it's not the same as your best friend. So I have a best friend, and she's amazing, and I love her so much. If I came with a particular situation that's not the area of expertise, she'll listen to me, she'll love me, she'll be wanting to fight my enemy because she's amazing. And she's like, they're wrong. They may not be, right? They may not be. I might be. But she's my friend, and she wants to support me. So that's what it is. So it's not always like your best friend. It's not always your pastor, but you want to find the people that are an expert in the area that you're looking for help. Okay. Thank you for understanding. Thank you. Because it sounded weird when I said it. I have friends who are spiritual, but lack in faith. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And when I say faith expression, like how I, it's so weird. I'm not even going to do it. It's too much. but like how I walk out my faith versus spiritual things. I don't know. I'm going to stop there. But thank you for saying that you understand. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. So support systems, building your support systems. And I will tell you this. It is likely that you already have a strong support system, at least one. Okay. So people say all the time, like, oh no, I don't have anybody to talk to about this. I don't have any support system. I'll tell you that, you heard my story. You heard I was married for 10 years. I had friends, we had this entire community of people we were around, that expected me to do the wife thing. I was doing the wife thing. Okay. But I was doing the Christian wife thing, I would say. But even still, as the unspoken rule in certain faith communities is, you don't get divorced. Divorce is not an option. We don't talk like that. We don't talk about that, all that. Okay. Even though that was kind of the unspoken rule, not if, but when I was in trouble, there were already people around me who were willing and able to help. Yeah. You said write a book about it. That's a something. Maybe one day. Maybe one day I'll find all my words. But there were already people around who loved me, who saw me, who saw what I was dealing with at home, and had just such beautiful grace. They weren't demanding anything of me, weren't telling me, you need to leave, or none of that. They were just there. And when I was ready to ask for help, they were ready to give it. And I would say the same thing for you, for anyone who's watching or listening. There's likely already support around you that you're not taking advantage of. And so build those communities, build those support systems, but also look around for what's already in front of you, what God's already provided you with. And so that's hack 2, support systems. Hack number 3 is accountability. Accountability is the difference between knowing what to do and doing what you know. Again, accountability is the difference between knowing what to do and doing what you know. We are in a society right now, we know a whole heck of a lot, right? And what we don't know, Google will tell us in a few short seconds, or Siri, or whatever you want to call it, Alexa, whatever. Okay. There's people and bots that tell us all sorts of things. And we know a lot, but we don't do the things we know. Why is that? A lack of accountability. Willpower needs help. Willpower does not go on its own. Okay. If that were not so, the weight loss industry would not make billions and billions of dollars every single January. Okay. Why is that? Because willpower by itself is never enough. It's never enough. Okay. Accountability is the difference. This is why personal training or sports coaches or life coaches or any of that is an industry, because willpower needs help. Okay. That's not enough. So accountability, build in accountability in your life. There's several ways to do that, but life coaching is one of those ways. Having a professional in your life to hold you accountable to the goals that you set for yourself. Okay. Number 4, environment. So we talked about that. Willpower plus help for willpower. So if you're taking notes, perspective coaching, number 1, support systems, number 2, accountability, number 3, your environment, willpower plus help. This is, and I use the weight loss example because it's easy and we all can understand it pretty well. This is the person who says, I'm going to lose weight, but they've got like donuts and cookies and ice cream and all sorts of unhealthy foods in the kitchen, right? But I'm on a diet, right? You're not setting yourself up for success. So give yourself an environment that is set up for success. So if that means, your physical environment, so that means you need to clean things out, clutter, get rid of clutter. We're preparing for Pesach soon, which is Passover, coming up early April. It's the time where we clean our house of leaven. Leaven represents pride and sin, but in the physical sense, it's a kinds of food, it's ingredients. So you're literally cleaning your cupboards and your refrigerator, and you're looking in your canned goods and all the stuff for certain ingredients to get rid of it, to get it out of your house. So your environment is important. Next, use help that's already around. I talked about that already. And then strengthen to overcome instead of escape. So I talked about avoiding and attacking earlier. So if you find yourself in a cycle where you're avoiding things instead of attacking things, you want to strengthen yourself to get to the place where you're overcoming instead of running away from whatever it is. And in the theme of supports for yourself and strengthening for yourself, there are a couple ways that I am coming alongside a special group of people to do that for themselves, for the goals they set for themselves. Starting in April, early April, we are doing something special called Reclaim. It is a group coaching virtual experience while we'll be spending a month with a small group of women who want to reclaim territory in their relationship with themselves. When we live through whatever we lived through as a child, as a young woman, and those things, it's kind of like you're walking on a path, but somehow you're losing territory, losing pieces of yourself through bad relationships, through childhood abuse, through poverty, through struggling, whatever it is, you're losing those pieces. And you can continue to like limp along through the rest of your life with this half form. You can, right? People do, and just, blur through the days, the months, the years, wake up, years later, and you didn't do any of the things you wanted to get out of life. You just survived. You didn't have life in your years. You just, bled through them. Or you could reclaim that territory and put the pieces back and let God restore in a dynamic way. This is not just, going to the altar and crying. There's so much more. There's so much more. He can be so present in your everyday and not just like, help me survive until tomorrow. There's so much life to have, and God's here to give it to you and to walk alongside as you reclaim. So I'm hosting a group. It's called Reclaim, and it is group coaching. It starts in April, and you can find out more at the reboundcoach.com/store. Do I have that here? Maybe. The reboundcoach.com/store. That's where you see that. Or you can just if you put in the comments, if you're watching this on the replay, or you're watching live, or you're over on Clubhouse, if you want to put in the comments here or the chat, you want to put Reclaim, I will make sure we get information to you. Okay, I can do that for sure. Also, I'm excited. At the end of April, we are doing another sanctuary experience. This is our 3-day VIP healing wellness retreat. So long, those many words. Okay, but myself and several other highly qualified professionals take you through a healing journey over the path of 3 days over in Clearwater Beach. So I'm going to show you a pretty video about it, and I will come right back.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך, יאר אדוני פניו אליך והנך יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
I still feel peace on that just when I listen to it. We've been able to impact the lives of many women who've come through sanctuary experience. It's a really beautiful honor. It's a really beautiful honor. And so if you find yourself wanting to reclaim territory in your relationship with yourself, you know that this is a season for you to grow, not just exist, not just, hey, we made it another 365 days. If you want to get to the end of this calendar year, and we're still in the third quarter, or first quarter, third month, if you want to get to the end of this season in your life and have something to show for it, have some growth to show for it, I just want to invite you to check out the reboundcoach.com/sanctuary and find out about how you can have your very own sanctuary experience. You can also message me here on Facebook. You can message me on back channel on Clubhouse, and say, hey, I'd like to know more. Don't miss your opportunity. There's really only a few seats left. We keep these events intimate on purpose because they're very intense in a good way. And we pour into the women. So we don't overcrowd them. You're not a number. You're not just a face in the crowd. We spend a lot of very intentional time with each and every person who attends. So you can find out more at thereboundcoach.com/sanctuary, or put sanctuary in the comments, or say, hey, me, don't forget me. It's my turn. Me. and I will connect with you. So I just want to say thank you so much for spending time with me, for being over here in this virtual corner of the world. Let me know what resonated with you. If you're watching the replay or you're here with me live, let me know what stood out to you, what you're going to apply out of all of these life hacks for the overcomer. Know that you are an overcomer. That is already who you are. You're just walking out your own victory that's already yours. I just speak blessings over you. Thank you so much for joining. Have a wonderful night. And until next time, choose life.